Hello everyone and welcome back to the 411 podcast.
So today we're going to be talking about toxic traits and bad habits. We're going to be talking about things like what are toxic traits, what change do we want to see within ourselves, and how can we become one step closer to being who we want to be. Alright, so let's talk about one thing you've learned this week and one thing you regret.
I think one thing that I've learned this week is to not procrastinate your work because I just left it to pile up. I thought I'm just going to leave it, we're just going to leave it tomorrow, after tomorrow, and then it just hasn't been done. So I did it all in one go and it literally took every strength, every bone in my body to actually produce that work. But it's over now, so yeah, I think that's one thing I've learned this week and I regret.
2 in 1, I like that.
Yeah. For me, I think one thing I've learned would probably be just to not take people for granted. So there was this workshop for poetry. It was free. So in my mind, I was like, I don't really know that poet so much that she can teach me stuff because she's not the one I look up to. But then I just listened to her. I gave her the time of day and she actually had so much to say because even if she wasn't the top ones that I knew, she was someone who knew better than I did. So opening up to learning helped me to actually gain experience and just understanding of how to become a better poet myself. And one thing I definitely regret is just postponing my study time because exams are coming up soon and I've just been telling myself I'll start tomorrow until today. So yeah, I think that's what I regret.
What about you, Novi?
I don't know. One thing I've learned this week, probably not to drink as much alcohol as I do, because I drank a lot of alcohol this week. And one thing I regret as well, drinking that much alcohol, because I could have really saved the money and gone about doing that. I went to varsity and it's basically a sports day for uni, and I could have gone without going to that, so yeah.
How bad was it?
It wasn't bad, it was good. We lost everything to Cardiff, so
Oh.
you know what I mean?
Maybe you guys weren't cheering enough.
No, we were cheering. I was screaming, and the basketball was the girls' team lost 100 and something to 15 or something stupid But let me not, you know what I mean? Let me not yell to them. They tried their hardest, and it was a great day. But yeah, next time, don't go to varsity.
Look at the camera and say that.
Don't bother. Alright, so we've had engaging conversations in our last 2 episodes about the importance of healing and how to turn your life around by improving 1% each day. Those podcast episodes were really good, so if you haven't listened to them now, we encourage you to go and do so. And this episode we'll be speaking about self-destructive behaviours.
Yeah, and given what we've just covered, this is something that most, if not all of us, struggle with at some point in our lives. And it is exactly what holds us back from being the person we want to be. Yeah, and given what we've just covered, this is something that most, if not all of us, struggle with at some point in our lives. And it's exactly what holds us back from being the person we want to be. So, a reminder, go back and listen to the previous episodes in order to catch up on exactly what we're talking about and more on self-destructive behaviors.
So self-destructive behaviours may be intentional, subconscious, impulsive, or even planned. It can be either an action or a series of actions, or a way of life that causes psychological and physical harm to the person engaging in the behaviour. It may start off small and escalate and even go as far as leading people to death. And the most common of these behaviours begins as a coping mechanism as a result of some type of emotional pain or trauma. Some individuals can have healthy coping mechanisms which are not self-destructive, but because harmful coping mechanisms make them feel better by numbing the pain or masking their genuine feelings, people mostly lean towards that. And for others, they just don't know how to cope in a healthy way.
And the thing is, we often see those behaviors as coping mechanisms, something that's normal because It's your way of trying to cry out for help. It's not something to gloss over, but something to identify and get help for. You see, a lot of the times it happens when one is not thinking from a rational perspective or conscious place, as they are simply looking for that feeling, they get from indulging in that activity. And other times it's a way to exert control over a situation, because as individuals we do feel in control of certain areas in our lives, but these individuals choose to self-harm or be an addict because it's something they can control, and it quickly becomes part of their perceived identity when actually it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and the thing is, these behaviors normally start off as pleasurable for the person to feel good for a little while, but then it reaches a point where it's no longer a leisure activity and becomes more something that they rely on, an addiction, which may eventually become detrimental to that individual's life.
But scaling back to the conversation we had with Ryan a couple of weeks ago, where he shared his story and how understanding the compound effect and focusing on becoming 1% better each day really helped him. When we look at patterns in our own lives and just through observing people really, you can really see how it is when they reach this point of wanting to be better and do better. If they do not have the proper support or have sought help, this is when we see the self-destructive traits reading through their heads. Can you guys remember a time where you tried to make a change and you found yourself falling back into self-destructive behaviours?
Yes. I feel like our last episode, maybe I do have childhood trauma because I have a lot of self-destructive behaviours. And I think, I don't even know how to explain it.
Like what though?
This is a family podcast, so I'm not gonna say, but there's a lot. Like doing things in excess as well. I think I'll say that. I do a lot of things in excess. And it's all or nothing, but I think that's the cycle, because I have time when I'm drinking and, doing all this stuff, and then I'll just go from that to not doing it. But that's the point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna be a better person, blah, blah, blah. So then I go on my whole thing of being a better person, being healthy, exercising, but yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think for me as well, it has to do with just being scared. Sometimes when I'm in a room, I feel like, who am I to even be here? And like, because I do stuff like public speaking and debating, I'm always like, so everyone is here sitting down to listen to me. And I remember like when I first started, I used to like sweat so much. Like I would be putting myself out there to try to stop the self-destructive behavior that says you're not good enough. But at the same time, before I perform, I would be like shaking, scared for my life. So I think that would be like taking me back at the same time when I'm trying to come out of it. So yeah, that would be like an experience that I would say I have. Do you have one yourself?
Yeah, I think it's quite hard to think about as well if you're not aware. Because I don't know, I feel like for me, I'm not really aware of what my self-destructive behaviour is. But then at the same time I am. I don't know, I feel like it's quite hard to figure out what is it that I do that is self-destructive. But then I end up feeling this way. So what is it that I'm doing that is making me feel like this?
And it's interesting though, because this actually has everything to do with our subconscious mind. If I decide today that I want to work out X amount of times, my subconscious mind, which doesn't want to work out, has already decided that we're not programmed for that. So we aren't going to do it. So then it doesn't happen. So I might work out 1 or 2 times a week, and then I stop because it's not something I do according to my programming. You see, our subconscious mind defines our reactions and automatic actions that we make. It literally runs our life.
Yeah, the subconscious mind is actually brought trained by experiences we've had in our early life, and it's also passed down from generation to generation. Like for example, I'm from Zimbabwe, and because we were colonized in the past by white people, they were more superior, they had everything else that we didn't. So even now, growing up, it seems like everything, if you pay your money to get in the bus, you're called a white person. In our language, they'll say kiwa. to show that, okay, like you are now superior. If you're doing things right, you're considered a white person. And even when we see white people, like taking a picture where there's a background of white people shows that you were in a fancy place. So like it just shows a level of superiority and just the power that you have because of that association. So it's not necessarily that they actually are, but because that's been what has been programmed, like since we were growing up, we just knew that white people made sense and they are meant to be, like they are superior in a way. So it becomes hard to even like interact in a normal setting just because we had that mindset. Despite us, whether we saw it or we didn't see it, it's something that we just like came to be more aware of. I don't know about you guys and where you come from.
No, that's funny you say that though, because a lot of countries that have been colonized are like that. And it's true because people who right now aren't experiencing that, like how thick it was back in the day, they still somehow have those same things that they carry on. Like, it's kind of like a tradition or something. Because even like with a lot of Asian countries, they have like lightning queens and stuff. And it's because obviously when they had a lot of white people going through there, they now see that as being like, well, not that they see it as that, that's just now the standard of when you're lighter, you're prettier. They have like a higher social standing in society when they're lighter skinned compared to like when they're darker. The same way, like I have a friend from Mexico and she's not even, well, I'm black in it, so I don't know what dark, you know what I mean? Like to me, she's not dark, but she grew up not liking her skin tone because her family would always say, oh, she's too dark, like she's too dark. It's only now that she's gotten older that she was explaining to me that she's accepted that. And it's kind of like, what is too dark? You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Where does that come from that they are now telling someone, oh, you're too dark skinned, even though they're Mexican? Like, you get it, you're not white people, you know what I mean? And her parents were probably telling her that, and her parents, they probably didn't go through being judged for being dark, like how racism was thick in Mexico back in the day, probably, or I don't know how that came around in her family. But see, somehow now they have that mindset of, oh, if you're dark, it has bad connotations.
That's kind of, yeah, I feel like it's kind of similar in Algeria because we got colonized, I think, a few times. Like, I think it was like, because I looked into like Algeria's history. But the further that you go, like down south, and the majority of Algeria, like, you are dark skinned. It's just literally the top strip because that's when like all the French invaded and like stuff like that. And there, like, there is that thing about like something you can buy to like make you lighter.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So it's very important. I mean, it's very interesting even that our subconscious is literally trained by our experiences and is made up of our belief system, which, how we talked about, is passed down. So it would really be cool to get into that subject of the subconscious mind and how to train it, because it really is key. But circling back to the conversation of the day, how would you guys say we can stop or change destructive cycles?
I think recognizing, kind of taking accountability for like what you're doing and thinking like, actually me thinking this way is actually quite wrong, or me thinking like this and then doing this is quite wrong, even though there's like that little reality that I do know like I shouldn't really be doing this.
I think I get you though, because I think the point is it's good to first identify that you have this problem, because I think self-destructive behaviors are sometimes, because they're really like covered up as like you trying to protect yourself, so you don't really see that it's self-destructive, because to you it's like your safety net in a way. So because I think I do that sometimes, like where you just like tell people that no, I'm actually like I'm not gonna get this job, or oh, I'm actually bad at this, just like to avoid, because in your head you're thinking this helps me in the future, because even if I don't get it, they know I didn't expect to get it, but you actually want the job, and you, instead of you being positive and like being your best cheerleader, saying I'm gonna get that job, I know I did my best, you're trying to like downplay it. So I think if you identify that that's your problem, then it's easier to then like start stopping it whenever you hear yourself saying it. Start like,
you know what, that is actually, I think that's my self-destructive thing. I think it's like literally like wanting to do something or like apply for something or do, you know, like try to put myself out there, but then I'm like, who do I actually think I am?
Exactly.
Who am I? Like, I can't do this, and then I just won't
that is a destructive trait because it's like a building. You're building yourself. You want to be a skyscraper, and the whole point of being destructive, like to get to that next level, you need to apply for that job that may seem out of reach.
Yeah.
But you now telling yourself like you're letting your internal voice be like, you can't do this, blah blah blah. You're now, that's what I mean. You're breaking down the building again.
Yeah.
You want to go. You know what I mean? You want to be more. So like, always go for it because I see things like that as you're going to be in the same position you are in right now. Like you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you apply for a job and you don't get it, you're in the same place that you are. If you apply for a job and you get it, you know what I mean? You're going to surprise yourself and then it starts a whole new journey. But with stopping destructive cycles, it's important to identify triggers, remember / know your why, as in like why are you doing these things. The importance of accountability, creating new routines, and then trying to rewrite your subconscious mind. So, this isn't something that's going to come about quickly because obviously your subconscious mind, that's something that's ingrained in you. It's things you don't even realize why. So you might even know what your destructive trait is, but you don't know why it is that you do what you do basically. So we can't stress enough the importance of working through it slowly. Obviously identify your problem. Like let's say when you get upset, you binge drink or something, or you go and do a whole bunch of drugs. You know what I mean? It makes you feel good in the moment, but that's not a healthy and sustainable way of coping with your pain. Just try and work through it. It takes practice obviously, and you have to be consistent. Like let's say you're sad 6 times in a month, and the first 2 times you don't go and binge drink, and the other 3 times or whatever you go and do that. You know what I mean? It's about consistency because things aren't going to change overnight, and you're not going to see results. You might think, oh, this isn't even working for me. I still feel sad or whatever. But it's about being consistent and doing it again and again and again, and that's when you'll start to find out that, oh, okay, like I have this other way of coping with my sadness and ultimately it's going to feel better for you because like something with drinking, hangovers suck, like obviously you all know that. So yeah.
Just to add on to that, I think with the issue of consistency, it's like we all want to be consistent, but I think you have to also be intentional. Like just tell yourself that I want to stop and I want to, because when you identify that this is like actually a toxic trait, you have the power to then like identify it and stop it. Like everything starts in your mind anyways. So like if you stop it from like becoming like a thought in your mind, like immediately change and try to like refocus on the actual thing that you want to achieve. And I think that actually helps as well with consistency.
Yeah. And then you have to again communicate the changes you want to make with your friends and family. You need to put in boundaries in place, especially often come triggered by their words, actions or indifferences. And then reflect as much as possible and take the time out of your day to remember your why. Fix your eyes on who you want to become. And that's definitely important because I think finding out any problem is about reflection. Again, with the last episode we were talking about our mind has a way of dealing with trauma, it blocks things out. So, you know what I mean, sit back and put time aside where you look and think through your memories and experiences and try and think of, you know what I mean, maybe that will even unlock certain things you didn't remember before. Because
Yeah, and I like the fact that you say like let your friends and family know, because it's good for accountability as well. Sometimes we want to change certain habits, and if you just keep it to yourself, it's hard to actually like actualize them. But if there are people that are out there looking out for you, like who will tell you that, oh look, you're doing it again, like they can actually help you, especially like the one we spoke of. If you're not saying, oh, I might not get the job, they can actually come back and be like, no, look at you, you're actually like self-destructing again. You're being negative towards yourself. So I think it's really good to have those people that will be there to check on you to make sure that you're actually like achieving the goal you wanted to achieve at the first place.
Yeah, because that's also self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
Self-destruction, self-sabotaging, they're very similar. They're cousins or brothers or siblings. And what you do, what you're saying that you do, that's self-sabotaging. Because there's nothing really stopping you from doing this thing. You're stopping yourself. But I feel like that's the thing with a lot of problems people have. So as far as the toxic traits and destructive behaviors we have, do you guys know or have you taken any steps to like eliminate your destructive cycles? I think personally, I used to smoke quite a lot, and yeah, like I just stopped. It was a long time though. From when I said I wanted to stop initially, from never wanting to stop to I want to stop to actually stopping, it was about like 3 years.
Like, how did you like actually stop?
Just like, it would just be like every day smoking less and less a day, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like that was contributing to my destructive cycles as well. Like, always being high and drinking and
Yeah, why did you
seeing
decide
people.
to stop though?
Because I'm just like, I don't know. I think I just wanted a lifestyle change, you know what I mean? I wasn't happy, and I was like, okay, so what can I do to become happy? You know, because having all
What
these,
did you do?
stop seeing as much women as I was seeing, stop drinking as much alcohol, you know what I mean? I feel like those things, when you're in it, it doesn't seem like a problem, but now that I'm not in it, I feel a lot different, and I can't even put my finger on what's different, but it's like, it's just a lot different, and I still have a long way to go. But that's why when I think, oh, like, I'm still doing this bad thing, I'm like happy because maybe it's not true, but I have the mindset now of I do it less than when I used to. You know what I mean? So that again helps me because it's like,
You can
things-
look back. And
yeah,
see
things
how
that I
far you
would
are.
be doing like a lot, like bad things I'd be doing a lot. Like I might do it once now. And even at one time I feel bad because I'm like, oh, I've made so much progress, you know what I mean? Like with doing procrastination, being on time to places, like, bro, I used to, yeah, I'm coming. And like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
now it's like, even now when someone called me like, oh, where are you? Like, we're starting, blah, blah, blah. I got up. Like, I was ready out of the shower, but like, I was already making my way there. I called a taxi, and like, I came here a lot quicker than if I was to like walk or whatever. And that's just, you know what I mean? It's the little things. Do you think these things don't matter? But it's just the way people view you because something like time, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know what I
definitely.
mean? When someone's saying, oh, be here in this place, before, like, I would just come, not whenever, but now it's like, I've done everything I should have done that I can even make it there on time, like, I'm there. Whereas before, it's like, I'm looking at the time, 5 minutes, I gotta be in this place. Okay, let me now go up and be ready, you know what I mean? So there's no way I'm even gonna make it there on time. Whereas now, I make it to work, like, I haven't been late in my new job. I'm
Wow.
there early, and it's an hour away.
And you fixed your
Wow.
sleeping pattern.
Yeah, and my sleeping pattern, like I sleep more time. I sleep like 8 hours now, and that's good for
Wow, that's really good.
yeah, 8-9 hours compared to like 6 hours, 5 hours sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? And I was just living like that. Like, you can live like that. That's why people sometimes they don't even recognize they need to change. Because
Yeah.
how old am I? I'm 23. I was doing all these things for God knows how long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, why did I want to change? Yeah, to be happier. Like, I wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. Super sad like, compared to some people. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't self-harming or anything. But I think if you just want a better experience of life, that's what I like to see as.
No, I
You
like.
ex-
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you experience life one way, but there's multiple ways to experience it. So the way I was experiencing life, it was fun at one point, and then it got to a point where it's like it's not really fun anymore. It's just more the same. And
Yeah.
that's why I think I just gotta switch up.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said it's not like necessarily that it's bad compared to other people, but it's like it wasn't where you wanted to be. And there's some people who are comfortable where they are just because like they don't see anything else. And I think it's important that when you're trying to change that toxic trait, like you change your surrounding as well, or just like change the type of people that you are around. Like I think exactly, because I think it really contributes to like what inspires you to change. Because I think the biggest thing in like trying to get rid of that toxic trait or bad habit has to do with your motivation behind your why. So like you said, you wanted to be happier. And I think, I don't know how much it challenged you, but I genuinely think like in order to get to that next level, you just have to be really convinced that there's definitely better out there than where you are now.
Because I wasn't, it was like, yeah, like even now, like I was explaining to my friend,
Yeah.
She was saying that, oh, I just want to be happy. Like, I mean, like, she's not money motivated. That's what she said to me.
Oh, wow.
I just want to be happy. Imagine, I'm not money
Yeah,
motivated. Because I was
Like,
saying, oh, I want to
money
get a
can buy
second job. Literally. I was like, mate, I'd rather be crying in a Lamborghini than
Yeah,
have
and on a
muscle.
bike.
You get it? But the same way you can have riches, you can still be happy inside. The same way you're poor, you can be happy inside.
Yeah.
So, like, that lifestyle I was living, I was happy and sad, but like you said, there's another version where I can be like not doing
Yeah.
those things and still be happy.
Yeah.
But it's a different type of happiness compared to, like, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
surrounded by different people, different environments. So the happiness I'm getting is from something else
Yeah.
rather than, like, we even talking about coping. The happiness I was getting is from, like, being with girls or, like, doing drugs and doing alcohol, you know what I mean? So yeah, now I'm pretty much just boring.
But you're happy
Basically. Yeah.
on the way there. If not happy, happier.
Yeah, happier. And I think a lot of that happiness comes from I feel healthier as well. So I think that's always a good thing. 'Cause I like playing sports, I like being active. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I think on this lifestyle I'm on now, it just makes me a better sports person. And that's another motivation. Because I'm very competitive when it comes to like certain things.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I think I used to have this thing like where I don't really think that I deserve. To be fair, I feel like it's justified in my head. I think obviously like everything that I have, I don't necessarily deserve. I got grace for it, but at the same time, I just like was scared to put myself out there. Like I'm currently in this poetry thing, I've already said, but it was like a poetic challenge, the London Summit. It's on the 7th of May, you can get your tickets. But when I did the competition, like initially for the first round, I was thinking, who am I? Because I feel like when I'm listening to poets, especially like London poets, I'm thinking the accent already adds so much value to whatever you're going to say because your accent sounds good. So I just entered that competition, but I was just thinking, this is me, like, what do I have to offer? And I'm now in the semi-finals, but I'm really like grateful for that opportunity. And I think from my self-destructive nature of just being someone who thinks, who am I? Like, I just always think I don't fit into crowds. And like I already mentioned before, it's probably from like growing up and thinking there's like a superior group and stuff like that, things that we were indoctrinated from a young age. But having had so many opportunities, like now it's too much to be a coincidence to say, okay, you got this because you were lucky, you got this because, like, I've come to that point in my life where I'm just like appreciating things that are happening, and I'm no longer scared to try out new things because I know I'm not gonna like get it every time, but the fact that I've got it before gives me that confidence to be like, no, you can create a name for yourself, like out of the fear that you used to like leave hidden under. So yeah, I think, that's it for me.
And see, that is an example of a subtle form of self-sabotage, as you explained it, like being self-derogatory, insisting you're not smart or capable or even attractive enough to do something. Not to say, you know what I'm trying to say. But those are just examples. Other ones are changing yourself to please others, clinging to someone who is not interested in you. That's a big one. I feel like we've all been there. Not me personally, but you know.
No, I think it's more of a guy thing though.
Clinging to someone who's not interested in you. You think so?
Yeah, because
yeah, see,
yes.
I think it's more of a women thing though.
No, I think
You don't
like,
get their
especially
hint.
guys, like you think when a girl says no, she doesn't really mean no. So you keep like insisting, but sometimes it's really just a no. So I think it's more for guys.
See, I can talk about that all day because I think even now I've heard stories of, like he kept asking me on a date, I turned him down a couple of times, and now, you know what I mean, and then I gave him a chance, and now we've been married for 30 years. I've heard that story a lot of times. Whereas today's day and age, if I was to keep doing that, I didn't have to be politically correct, but since the Me Too movement, right? If I'm to now persistently be moving to a girl, I've never been the type to do that, but I know guys who are do that. it comes across in a whole different type of way. It's creepy. It's too much. It's like
Yeah, I feel
You know what I
like there's
mean?
like a way, because I think girls communicate in a simple way. So you can tell if she's like saying no, just like to keep you like on, like
Yeah.
make you keep chasing. But then like there's sometimes when she's really just like saying no aggressively, like please let it go.
yeah.
So I think it's just like understanding like the way that girls communicate. I guess.
That's true, because I have a friend. I don't want to be persuasion. I don't want to out his story, but let's just say he knows who he is. I probably won't hear this podcast, but he is on this thing of thinking this girl like is the one for him, or he wants to be with her. She doesn't want to be with him. He's buying her gifts and they spend. But it's the thing. But she said no. But they spend time together. You know what I mean?
See, yeah, I think that's different
And-
though. Maybe she's trying to be hard to get.
It's hard to get in this world, whatever the hell is going on over there. But yeah.
Get over it.
Also, other subtle self-destructive tendencies are engaging in alienating or aggressive behavior that pushes people away.
Yeah.
So that's why I mentioned that earlier. Is because instead of talking about how you really feel, you'll create a problem out of nowhere to get that person to leave. You know what I mean? To leave you. And then in the long run, you're gonna end up missing that person and wish you never did that. But like sometimes you might even say something really hurtful, just like get them out of your life because you feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're bad for them. You might, most of the time it is that you think you're bad for that person, and instead of just telling them how you feel, you're gonna say something crazy so then they leave you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I get that a lot. I think another thing is also just you yourself being in a bad mood and then like just putting it on everyone else.
Everyone else,
And
yeah.
pushing everyone else away when instead maybe you'd have found someone to talk to and being able to feel better about what's going on. Because yeah, it's really unfair that when our self-destructive behavior becomes someone else's problem, like don't make your bad day everyone else's bad day.
Yeah.
But see, the frequency and severity of these behaviors is different from person to person. So, you know what I mean? Reflect, firstly, identify, and then think of a treatment plan, you know? Because again, I've talked about my self-destructive tendencies, but I think where I am now in my life, I know what all of my bad traits are, but I don't know how to stop doing them. So there's been growth slightly, but there's still a lot more to come. And I only got to that point because of lockdown, doing reflection and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think it's really good that you now know, because if you know what you're working towards or like what you're working against.
But
so
somebody could even argue that I think it's worse. Because before I was doing what I was doing, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like.
But then it's like this
now
time.
it's like. Yeah, but now it's even worse when you know you shouldn't be doing this thing you do anyway.
So every time you feel bad when you do it, which is why it's going to reduce. But when you're just like doing it either way,
do you think that? Cause
yeah, I think so. I think like I feel like, oh, I did it again, and then it's like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you might like stop like maybe 2 months, go back again, but it's like slowly. It's really...
the gap gets bigger and bigger each time. But yeah, I think everyone should look into it. Because you all know what our self-destructive tendencies are, even if you don't want to admit it to yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know, we all have one.
Thank you everyone for listening to this episode, and again, if you haven't already, listen to the past few episodes that are up on healing your inner child and changing your lifestyle. We really hope that these episodes have encouraged you to, if you haven't, grab a pen and paper and go back to the episodes and mark down what you want to work on for yourself.
Yeah, so
Hope you've been enlightened by these episodes.
the podcast rating number one is the 411 podcast.
Till next time, guys. Bye.